What's good with y'all, man? It's CTZ. So you came here to find out what are the top teams and each lineup to use in each tier. I got y'all, man. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my predictions. Y'all see the record, man, on the screen. I haven't played a game yet, but I'll be breaking down which teams I think are going to be good, bad, and you're going to want to stick around to the end, man, because that's where I'm going to give all my top 3 teams for each tier. But if y'all want some gameplay, man, get this video to 200 likes and drop a comment down below which team slash player you want to see first in my very first gameplay. But all right, I'm done talking, y'all. Let's go ahead and get right into the tiers. So we gonna start off in tier 3 and just work our way up to tier 1. Oh my gosh, off rip, they got the hot, bro. The NBA and even 2K is really mad disrespecting Trae Young, man. But I mean, it makes sense now that I look at the lineup. I mean, Sadiq Bey is stepping in for John Collins. That's gonna hurt them a lot, man. They don't have a stretch center. So next we got the Nets, y'all. This team is gonna be solid in my opinion. I think they're gonna be good. You just gotta plug in Ben Simmons at your 1. And then honestly, you can keep the rest as is. Next up, we got the Charlotte Hornets, man. This team could be decent. They could be mid for tier 3 at least, because you have Brandon Miller now, who's a 6'8", 6'9" wing. So if he has a decent 3-ball and a decent release, he will be a huge addition to this team. And you could also plug in Miles Bridges if he's back in the game. I don't know if he's in the game. I have to check the rosters. Ooh, okay. I forgot about these dogs, man. The Pistons with big guard Cade, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Jalen Duren, man. This is a deep young team, man. Like, I mean, they're not established obviously because they're young, like I said, but you still have Wiseman off the bench. You have Bagley, who's usually good in 2K. So we'll see, man. We'll see with this team. This is a fun and intriguing team to me, at least. The Rockets, man. I've had good. I forgot Dylan Brooks is there, man. I was so caught up on Fred VanVleet. Dylan Brooks, don't get me wrong, IRL, man, this dude might not be it, but in 2K, this dude is a solid 3-and-D player, so he is a huge addition to this team. I need to check if Boban is still on this team. Big Boban, if he's still there, this might be one of the top 3 teams to use, man, if you plug in Boban with this lineup. The Pacers, man, this is a team that is really centered around, obviously, Tyrese. Last year, a lot of people didn't like his jumper, and I can personally agree to that. Like, I did not like his jumper at all because of how slow it was. My Magic, man, my demigod Magic. RIP to Bobo, man. This team could be good. They have Jonathan Isaac still. Anthony Black, who's a big guard. I'm not sure if he's going to be good in 2K at least, because they usually hold the rookies in terms of releases and ratings. So we'll see, man. This could be a top 3 team in my opinion. The Spurs, y'all. This team is going to be fun only because of Wembanyama, man. Last year, obviously, they were probably the worst team in the game. So we'll see how Victor holds up, man. If his release is good or not, if it's usable, and if he could even shoot the ball at all. Jazz, they actually might be a good team, man. Walker Kessler is a dog, and they obviously added John Collins. And if you put this lineup in, like, you might want to take out Colin Sexton. And it's too bad they gave up Rudy Gay, man. If they had Rudy Gay, oh my goodness, don't even get me started. That dude is different in 2K, even to this day. To this day! And lastly, the Wizards, man. This team would be solid if they had Porzingis still, but they don't. They have Jordan Poole. They have their rookie. I don't even know how to say his name, but he's intriguing to me because he could be a good 3-and-D. Kuz and Daniel Gafford, man. So I don't think this team will make the top 3 team off rip. All right, now we're going to break down the tier 2 teams and my initial thoughts and reactions to the teams in here. Off rip, I'm not surprised we got the Chicago Bulls, man. This team has always been mediocre without Lonzo Ball, man. But in 2K, as long as Lonzo Ball is here before his injury, this team will be decent. But once they take him out, man, this team will not be the same at all, just like how they are in real life. Mavericks, man, this is going to be a slightly better team this year if Grant Williams has a good release, because he's a defensive player, so he could be a solid 3-and-D. And if y'all remember, man, this team was a huge defensive liability in 2K because of Luka and Kyrie. The Nuggets are in tier 2 is crazy, y'all. This is absolutely insane to me. I mean, they were in tier 2 last year to finish the year, but it's just crazy to me that the champs are in tier 2, y'all. So this is definitely going to be one of the top 3 teams. Ooh, okay, the Timberwolves, man. This is always going to be an intriguing team to me. This team is borderline top 3, or if not top 3 for me. Pelicans, man. Y'all know how I feel about these Pelicans, man. This team is just like Denver, man. They could definitely hang in there with the tier 1 teams, at least at full strength, but we'll dive in deeper into their lineups later in the video. Knicks, man, they took a huge L after trading Cam Reddish, man. I thought he was going to be there for a long time because RJ Barrett is there, his Duke teammate. But in 2K, man, this team is going to be mid. I'm personally not a big fan of this team because Josh Hart isn't really an offensive player other than just being a 3-and-D, and he's also not the biggest guard, and that goes for the same thing for Jalen Brunson, man. Y'all know how I feel about my small guards. Thunder, man, this team might be a top 3 team, man, with Chet back. Hopefully he's here for the whole whole season. Knocking on wood that he does not get injured. This team could be solid. A huge factor for this team for me will be Jalen Williams. If J-Dub has a better release this year, he can definitely play. And Poku, man. Poku could be solid for this team too. Blazers, y'all. Blazers, man. I'm intrigued to see how Scoot Henderson is. But Scoot as well is like a small guard, man. He's a point guard. Like 2 point guards in the backcourt. And you have Anthony Simons at your 3 with this lineup at least. So I don't think this team might even make the cut. I mean, we'll see though. I'm gonna have to really sit down and think before we get into the top 3 teams. The B team, y'all. Shout out the Kings, man. Shout out to my dogs. This team is really gonna be dependent on Keegan Murray. In 2K, if he has a better, way better release than last year, because his release last year was so bad. It was super slow. It was a baited release. So I'm really curious to see if his release is faster this year. I forgot about my Raptors, man. This was one of my favorite teams to use to level up at least to get to the GOAT League last year in 2K23. My real ones know, man, this is a team that can run a 5-man lineup that could all play defense and switch screens. Y'all know how I like versatile teams, man, and this is definitely one of them. And last but not least, man, we have tier 1, y'all. And off rip, man, we have the Celtics. I was already knowing this was gonna be a good team. I mean, who knows, they could sell. But I highly doubt it, man. With Porzingis added to this team is going to be up there, man, in terms of top 3 teams or even top team to use in tier 1. Next up, we have the Cavs. See, this team belongs in tier 2. They should not be in here over teams like the Pelicans or Nuggets, if I'm being completely honest. Next up, we have the Dubs, man. I know they took out those speed boost bars. So if they did take those out, Steph Curry's going to be back, y'all. And if you could dribble, he's going to be OD to use like he was in the past 2Ks, except for last year. Next up, man, we have good old faithful, the LA Clippers, man. This was definitely one of my favorite teams to use for a while. In terms of a 5-man lineup that could switch all screens. Real ones know, man, which lineup I'm talking about, but we'll see if they make the top 3 team cut. Lakers, y'all, man. Every single move they made this year, I was just surprised, man. They made big moves this offseason, and this is definitely, I'm not gonna hold y'all, this is gonna be a top 3 team for sure in tier 1. The Grizzlies, y'all. This team took a huge loss in Dylan Brooks. I know this dude gets slandered with all the China jokes playing overseas, but that dude is actually good in 2K, y'all. If I'm being completely brutally honest in terms of comp, Dylan Brooks made this team good because he was a 3-and-D for them in 2K. I mean, Marcus Smart can hold it down, but the difference between Marcus Smart and Dylan Brooks last year was Dylan Brooks had a way better release, and he's 6'7". The Miami Heat, man, this team has always been a mid team in tier 1 in my opinion because Tyler Hero is a small guard. Also, Kyle Lowry, man, he's a small guard, but I don't think this team makes the top 3 team cut. Next up, the Bucks, man. Obviously, man, you cannot count out these Bucks. You all know what they're about, man. 5 out with Giannis at the center of the court and surround him with shooters. This team is really going to just depend on if Brook Lopez and everyone else around him has decent enough releases. Next up, the Sixers, man. This team lost Jalen McDaniels. So Tyrese Maxey has never been good in my eyes in 2K because he's a small guard and his release was just really slow. So we'll see if they fix his release. But I don't know if this team makes the top 3 team cut. So we'll see when I look closer into their roster as well. The Suns, man. This team, man, with Bobo, I think this team's going to be an obvious top 3 team as well. It's going to be real tough, man, when it comes to deciding these top 3 teams, man. This team is an offensive juggernaut. Defensively, we'll see. But they have size, man, because D-Book and Brad Beal are not small guards, man. They're both at least 6'5", if I'm not mistaken. So at number 3, man, we have the Charlotte Hornets, y'all. Now, the reason being is because this dude is back. Miles Bridges, man. I'm not condoning any of his actions. Another notable addition is Brandon Miller. So you could really run a 5-man lineup that could all shoot the rock with LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, and Gordon Hayward. Now, that is a very small lineup, so I would probably put in PJ Washington over one of these other guys. Maybe Terry Rozier, honestly, like he's the liability. Like, look, LaMelo's 6'7", 6'7", 6'9", 6'7", 6'7". So if you want to run a big enough lineup in tier 3 that can switch all the screens, hold it down defensively, and still get buckets and shoot the rock, you can definitely run that lineup right there and take out Terry Rozier. And at number 2, man, we have the Atlanta Hawks, man. Stop disrespecting my dog, Trae Young. The real ones know, man, this team has always been a tier 2 team. Obvious loss for this team is John Collins, their stretch 5. The small ball lineup that I like to run was with him at the 5. So it obviously changes the whole dynamic of this team if you want to play to that play style. But the lineup, if I had to run a game right now with this team, would be Trae Young at the 1, DeJounte Murray at the 2. You can decide between either Bogdan Bogdanovic or Sadiq Bey to be your 3. I would probably go Bogey because I've always liked his release. DeAndre Hunter at the 4. And if Okongwu could shoot the ball, he will be the 5. But if not, you obviously want to go with Clint Capella. And at number 1, man, as of right now in tier 3, if I had to predict, I would still choose this team as the number 1 team in tier 3. This team will always have a special place in my heart. Obviously a big loss in Bowl, but this team can still hold it out, man. And the huge addition to this team is Joe Ingles, man. If this dude has a decent enough release, he's 6'9", and y'all see it, man, an 85 3-ball. That is a big time pickup in 2K and IRL, honestly. But for 2K, man, this dude could be huge for them. And if not, man, this dude could be huge too if he's good, because he has an 81 3-ball, the rookie Jet Howard, man. Shout out to Juwan Howard's kid. So we'll see. But this dude also as well, Caleb Houston was solid for me last year. When Jonathan Isaac was out and I couldn't use him, I plugged this dude in, and he was more than solid enough in terms of at least shooting, and he's 6'8". So the lineup I would run with this team, just off of predictions, would have to be between Franz Wagner at the 1, Paolo at the 2, Jonathan Isaac at the 3, and if you want to go small, just slightly smaller, you can go Joe Ingles and Wendell Carter Jr. Now, if you want to have a little more size, you can plug in Mo Wagner at your 4 or 5 next to Wendell Carter Jr. And another player, like I was mentioning earlier, man, that you can replace Joe Ingles with is either going to be Jet Howard or Caleb Houston. Honorable mention for tier 2, man. This is me being completely brutally honest, just because I want to put y'all on as much sauce as possible. But we have the Beam team, y'all. Y'all know, man, these are my dogs right here. I wouldn't do them dirty, but I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I said, man, I'm gonna be straight up. Tier 2 has a lot of good teams to choose from, so this is an honorable mention for me. But the lineup that I would run with this team is Fox at the 1, Herter at the 2, Barnes at the 3. I'm gonna hope that Keegan Murray has a better release this year, which is another reason why I have them in the honorable mention, because I don't know if he has a quicker release. Like 2K, I can't depend on 2K, man. But Keegan Murray at the 4 and Sabonis at the 5. This is a very, very solid lineup. This is the lineup they ran IRL all year last year. And Sabonis is 7'1", y'all. They gave him 3 extra inches. Wish I could use those. And this dude has an 81 3-ball. Like, bro, he is not 7'1", and that's coming from a true Kings fan. But hey, I'll take a 7'1" Sabonis in 2K, man. That definitely helps out with his player build for defense, at least. So at number 3, y'all see it, man. We have the Toronto Raptors, man. My real ones know, man, how I rock out with this team, man. Some huge additions to this team, though, is Jalen McDaniels, man. He's 6'9". He was my 3-and-D for the Sixers last year with James Harden and them boys. And he's a huge pickup for this team, in 2K at least. So it's going to be a tough decision, man, when it comes to using either him or Otto Porter. And they also got Grady Dick, who's 6'8", with an 82 3-ball, y'all. So this is going to be an interesting team to figure out which lineup I want to use. But if I had to pick a lineup right now, it would definitely include Scotty Barnes at the 1, OG Anunoby at the 2, Pascal at the 3, and either Jaden McDaniels at the 4 or Otto Porter, who held it down for me at the 4 last year, at the power forward spot. And then at the 5 is Chris Boucher, man. This dude is a sleeper. He's only 6'9", so he does give up some height, but he has a 76 3-ball, and he usually has a good release. At number 2, man, this team at full strength, the New Orleans Pelicans, are crazy, man, to be in tier 2, if I'm being completely honest. They don't really have any notable pickups this year, at least in my eyes, in 2K. But the lineup I would run with this team is CJ McCollum at the 1, Herb Jones at the 2, Brandon Ingram at the 3, Zion Williamson at the 4, and Jonas Valanciunas at the 5. But I will say, if you want to run a bigger lineup, you can take out CJ McCollum, because Brandon Ingram has always been able to handle the rock. He's like a big guard at 6'8", y'all. So if you want to run the big lineup, which is personally the lineup I usually run with this team, is Brandon Ingram at the 1, Zion at the 2, man. In that 2-3 zone, that would be OD. Herb Jones at the 3, Trey Murphy. You plug him in at your 4 as your stretch 4, and Jonas Valanciunas at your 5. You have a switch-all lineup with the exception of maybe Jonas Valanciunas, and all of them are at least 6'7" and can shoot the rock, man. And at number 1, man, it shouldn't be a surprise. We have the Denver Nuggets, y'all. Obviously, this team is way too good to be in tier 2. Kind of like the Pelicans, but the only reason I have them higher is because Jokic is just different, y'all. Like, IRL and in 2K, man, this dude is different. So obviously, they're going to soup him up. He's definitely going to be slow, and I'm assuming his release is going to be slow just like last year. But he's going to be able to bully his way to the hoop. He's probably going to have unnecessary athleticism, man, in terms of dunking at the rim. They don't really have any notable pickups that I think would make my lineup. So the lineup I would run is literally just their starters. Jamal Murray at your 1, KCP at your 2, MPJ at your 3, Aaron Gordon at your 4, and Jokic at your 5. This is a well-balanced lineup, as y'all all should know. The only one that would probably be lacking defense is obviously Jamal Murray. You can hide MPJ, but the thing with MPJ at least is he has length and size, so he can play the lanes well if you put him on a cone. But offensively, man, this team is going to go crazy, because if you just give the ball to Jokic, you have all shooters surrounding him, and you have your dunker and Aaron Gordon if you want to send him on back cuts. All right, y'all. Honorable mention for tier 1, man. Hear me out. I'm going off of past experience. And last year, man, this team, their shooters had terrible releases in my opinion. So I'm gonna just put them here for now, but I feel like I'm gonna be completely wrong about this team. And it's the Milwaukee Bucks, man. I'm gonna have them as my honorable mention. Hear me out, man. Chris Middleton, his release was not as fast as it usually was last year. And Brook Lopez's release was way slower than it usually was in the past. So I don't know if they've sped it up because he used to have Porzingis release. But last year he had his own release and it was mad slow. We'll see, man. We'll see. But if they both have better releases, then this prediction will be completely wrong. But the lineup I would run with this team, because they don't really have any notable pickups, is Giannis at your 1, Drew Holiday at your 2, Chris Middleton at your 3, Bobby Portis at your 4, and Brook Lopez at your 5. Number 3, man, y'all might also flame me for this, but this is also based off of my playstyle on top of every other factor that I mentioned. It is the Phoenix Suns, y'all. So hear me out, man. The reason being is because D-Book and Bradley Beal aren't really good defensive players. So, I mean, they do have some height. 6'5" and 6'4" is doable. But me personally, I've never been a really big Bradley Beal fan in 2K. I feel like his release is just a little bit slow on the slower end. So we'll see, man. This team will really depend on him. But the huge addition, man, y'all know, man, is Bobo, man. 7'2" Bobo, man. RIP Magic Bobo. But another huge pickup, man, is this guy right here, Keita Bates-Diop, man. I don't know if I said his name right, but this dude is 6'8", and look at his 3-ball, an 83. I remember using this dude last year when I used the Spurs, man, when they were the worst team to use, and he was a knockdown shooter, man. Like, imagine putting him in the lineup, and you run a lineup with him, Bobo, DeAndre Ayton, and Durant. That's 4 big dudes, man, that can all shoot the rock. And I mean, with their player builds, should be able to play good defense. But the typical safe lineup you could run is D-Book at your 1, Bradley Beal at your 2, KD at your 3, Bobo at your 4, and DeAndre Ayton at your 5, man. That's gonna be a tough lineup offensively, man. Defensively, we'll see. It all depends on D-Book and Bradley Beal. And at number 2, we got the C's, y'all. We got Boston at number 2. Porzingis, like I said, is going to push this team up. Barring any injuries, man, at full strength, this lineup is going to be OD. And on top of that, man, they picked up O'Shea Brissett, man. I didn't even know they picked this dude up. Last year, this dude had one of the best releases in the game. Real ones know, man. Real hoopers know in 2K, especially those that played my player, man. This dude had one of the meta releases. So we'll see when it comes to him. But on the safe side, I'm going to say the best lineup you could run if you don't want to put Brissett in is Tatum at your 1, Jaylen Brown at your 2. You can play it safe with Brogdon, but man, if this dude has a clean release again this year, he can be your 3 because he's 6'7". But I'll just say Brogdon for now at your 3. The reason being is that 2-3 zone, y'all. If you're wondering why I put bigger players at the top, is so they take up more space on that zone. KP at either 4 or 5, and then whichever spot is left is for Horford, man. That 5-man lineup will go crazy, I promise y'all. Especially if you want to run a 5 out, because all 5 can shoot and all 5 can play D. And at number 1, man, we have the unanimous Los Angeles Lakers, man. I don't think it's, I mean, it might be close, but man, y'all know how 2K be with LeBron, man. They be glazing this dude OD, respectably, man, because this dude is arguably the GOAT. But let's get back to their roster. The notable pickups, man, that I love this past offseason: Christian Wood, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, and Jackson Hayes. That's a lot of players to choose from, but it's a good problem to have. But if I had to pick a lineup right now for this team, it would definitely be LeBron at the 1, Cam Reddish at your 2, Rui Hachimura at your 3, Vando at your 4, and Anthony Davis at your 5, man. They're all at least 6'8", 6'7", all can shoot the rock and play D. Hopefully Vanderbilt has a nice enough release again this year that'll suffice. But he still has a 74 3-ball. Cam Reddish has a 77 3-ball. Oh, they took off an inch off his height. Bro's only 6'7" now, man. 2K had him at 6'8", maybe even 6'9" in the last 2K. But regardless, man, that lineup is OD because you could really run a switch all lineup that could all play defense and shoot the ball, man. So I have this team higher, even though they're lacking a little bit of height compared to the other teams, because of LeBron, man. LeBron, y'all know what they do with LeBron, man. If I'm gonna choose between KD or Jason Tatum in 2K, LeBron has always just had the best build, best animation. So gotta play it safe, man. If I had to predict, this would be the best team to use in the entire game in terms of current teams. But all right then, y'all, that is gonna wrap it up for this one. I hope y'all dig it. If y'all want some gameplay, man, get this video to 200 likes right now and I got y'all. But until then, man, I'll catch y'all on the next one.